Let me ask you something, and this time don't answer fast. Don't answer with the story you tell people. Don't answer with the excuse that makes you feel safe. Answer from that quiet, uncomfortable place inside you that speaks only when everything slows down. How long are you going to keep living beneath what you know you're capable of? How long are you going to keep negotiating with your potential, telling yourself that one day you'll change, one day you'll rise, one day you'll finally demand more from yourself, while day after day you repeat the same habits, the same thoughts, the same emotional patterns that keep you stuck in a life that feels smaller than your spirit? Because here's the truth. Most people avoid their entire lives. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not unlucky. You are not lacking motivation. You are lacking standards. And whatever you tolerate, you train yourself to accept as normal, and whatever becomes normal becomes your life. Your life today is not an accident. It is the result of the standards you've set for what you will accept in your body, your mindset, your relationships, your finances, and your future. And the reason you feel frustrated, the reason you feel restless, the reason something inside you feels unfinished is because deep down you know you were built for more. But instead of letting that knowing drive you forward, you've been letting fear, comfort, and familiarity talk you out of your own greatness. You don't need more time. You don't need more information. You don't need someone to save you. You need a decision so strong that it rewires how you think, how you act, and how you show up when no one is watching. Because the moment you raise your standards, everything changes. The questions you ask change, the actions you take change, the energy you bring into a room changes, and suddenly the life that once felt impossible starts responding to you differently. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And here's where transformation actually begins. Not in hype, not in emotion, not in a temporary burst of motivation, but in the moment you decide that the pain of staying the same is finally greater than the pain of change. When you realize that comfort has been costing you your confidence, your discipline, your edge, and your belief in yourself. And you say, enough, not quietly, not someday, but now, because your future does not care about your excuses. It only responds to your rituals. And if you want a different life, you must build a different identity through daily, non-negotiable actions that align with the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Here they confuse awareness with transformation. And I want you to understand this with absolute clarity. Insight alone does not change your life. Emotion alone does not change your life. Intention alone does not change your life. Only conditioned behavior does. Your brain has been trained, wired, and reinforced through years of repetition to seek comfort, avoid pain, and stay familiar. And unless you deliberately interrupt that pattern with massive conscious action, your future will always look like your past wearing a different outfit. That's why willpower fails and motivation fades, because you've been trying to fight identity with emotion when the only thing that permanently changes identity is repeated proof. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you cast a vote for the person you want to become, and every time you break one, you reinforce the person you're trying to escape. This is not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about deciding that no matter how you feel, no matter how tired you are, no matter how uncertain the outcome seems, you will act in alignment with your highest standard, because standards are not what you say. They are what you live under pressure. And pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is the force that reveals who you really are. When life pushes, do you contract or do you rise? When fear shows up, do you negotiate or do you command? When discomfort appears, do you retreat or do you step forward? These moments, these small invisible moments, are shaping your destiny more than any big opportunity ever will, because destiny is not decided in comfort. It is decided in moments of challenge when no one is watching, and quitting would be easy. But you choose to stay, you choose to push, you choose to demand more from yourself, and in doing so, you begin to rewrite the story of who you are at the deepest level. And understand this, the quality of your life is directly tied to the quality of the questions you ask yourself consistently, because questions direct focus, and focus determines emotion, and emotion drives action. So if you keep asking, why is this happening to me? You will live in weakness. But if you ask, what is this trying to teach me, and how can I use this to grow? You step into power instantly. Empowered people ask better questions. They don't waste time blaming, complaining, or explaining. They focus on solutions, leverage, and progress. That means when something doesn't work, you don't collapse, you calibrate. When you fail, you don't personalize it, you analyze it. When you fall short, you don't shame yourself, you sharpen yourself. This is emotional mastery, and emotional mastery is the foundation of personal power, because the person who can control their internal state controls their external results. You are not tired. You are emotionally undirected. You are not overwhelmed. You are unfocused. You are not lost. You are avoiding a decision. And the moment you decide what you stand for, what you will no longer tolerate, and what you are committed to creating no matter what, your energy returns, your clarity sharpens, and your nervous system aligns with action. This is where momentum is born, not from ease, but from engagement, from the decision to fully show up to your life instead of spectating it, to stop watching other people live boldly while you wait for permission that will never come, and to finally realize that the life you want is not ahead of you. It is waiting for you to become the person who deserves it. Let's talk about fear, because fear is not the villain people think it is. Fear is a signal. Fear is feedback. Fear is the edge of your growth. But most people have been conditioned to interpret fear as a stop sign instead of a direction. And that single misunderstanding has cost them their dreams, their confidence, and their future. Fear shows up whenever you are about to step into expansion, whenever you are about to break an old identity, whenever you are about to raise your standards, because your nervous system is wired to protect the familiar, not to build the extraordinary. So when your heart races, your mind doubts, and your body resists, that's not weakness. That's evolution knocking. The question is not whether you feel fear. The question is whether fear controls you or trains you. Champions use fear as fuel. They condition themselves to move toward discomfort instead of away from it because they understand that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else matters more. And the way you build that courage is not through thinking, but through action. Small, deliberate actions taken consistently until your nervous system learns that discomfort is survivable, that challenge is not fatal, and that growth is your new normal. Every time you lean into resistance instead of avoiding it, you reclaim a piece of yourself that fear tried to steal, and over time, what once felt terrifying becomes familiar, what once felt impossible becomes routine, and what once felt out of reach becomes your standard. This is how fear loses its grip, not by fighting it, but by outgrowing it through repeated exposure, deliberate action, and an unshakable commitment to becoming the person who does not run when things get hard. And this brings us to discipline, the word people admire but secretly resent, the word they associate with punishment instead of freedom, when in reality, discipline is the highest form of self-respect, because discipline is simply choosing what you want most over what you want now. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes based on mood, sleep, and circumstance, but discipline is built through structure, through ritual, through making decisions in advance so you don't have to negotiate with yourself in moments of weakness. High performers don't rely on feeling ready. They rely on systems that make progress inevitable. They wake up with intention. They move their bodies to condition energy. They feed their minds with empowering inputs. They review their goals daily to keep their vision alive, and they end each day with reflection so tomorrow is sharper than today. These rituals may look simple, but simplicity repeated with intensity becomes unstoppable momentum. And here's the key. Discipline is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters consistently. One workout won't change your body. One focused hour won't change your career. One honest conversation won't transform your relationships. But thousands of aligned actions compound into a life that feels powerful, confident, and intentional. This is how ordinary people build extraordinary lives, not through luck, not through talent, but through disciplined execution over time, until the results speak so loudly that doubt no longer has a voice.